in First Bank Beach. That used to be the collectorate, and then it was the customs house, and it was then the GPO for some time, then it went back to being the customs house. So this was in the 1790s. It was built in the 1790s. And then in the early 1980s, the MGR government decided that they wanted to put up a new building in place of the old building. And that was the first time that heritage activists got together, and they tried to prevent the demolition of Bentley's building. Mrs. Gandhi got involved and wrote a letter to the Chief Minister at that time requesting that the building be demolished, not be done. And so the building was not demolished, but it was emptied of all its offices, and it was not maintained for 2 years. And you know how a non-maintained building can be. So, dust comes in and then leaves begin to collect, a window falls off somewhere, and slowly plants begin to grow. And after 2 years, the whatever department that is, they gave a certificate that the building is unsafe and therefore it can be demolished. So the demolition work started, and every pillar took 10 days to uproot, because that was the level to which the building was weak. It was not fit to be occupied, but it took 10 days for every pillar to be removed. The contractor doubled and said that I have underbid for the number of days that it would take for the demolition of the building. But he made such a profit on the staircase and the doors and the windows that he was a very happy man eventually after the demolition of the structure was completed. So that is the first time that the building was, a heritage structure was demolished. A heritage structure's demolition made it to the news. Even today, if you go to India Today, the web edition of India Today, you'll find a full article written in the 1980s about Bentley's building demolition. It's almost the first time that heritage activists got together to try and prevent demolition from happening. Thereafter, as I will show you in my presentation, we've had a series of ups and downs, in terms of more downs than ups, in terms of whatever heritage buildings we could preserve. But the fundamental question even today is, what is heritage and what do we mean by worthy of preservation? So today we talk about, there are unfortunately for India, it is full of layers. Indian history is not just that of one community or one set of people, and there are so multiple interests that come into any question, anything, preservation or demolition of anything involves a lot of stakeholders, and that becomes a very major issue when we begin to talk about heritage. So the government, for instance, when it wants to demolish a building, says that it is a colonial structure. The same government, if it wants to preserve a building, will suddenly find out that some great politician of Tamil Nadu had done something in that building, and therefore that building is worthy of preservation. So double speak is a very classic instance of how we deal with heritage structures. That is one. The other is the heritage activists themselves are all upper class people. They are all people who are well-to-do, who have no financial worries. They don't need to worry about their day-to-day living, or at least they appear to be so. And lots of people ask me what I do for the rest of the year other than Madras. So I think they think that I'm at home sleeping, and then I get up on August 15th, and then I come out, and then I go back to sleep on August 31st. Then again on December 1st I get up for the music season, then January 1st I go back to sleep. But the point is that there is a view that heritage activism is an elitist activity, and therefore it is anti-people. The common man does not stand to benefit from heritage. These are all common arguments that are put forth. The other very common argument that is put forth is this is against development if we want to preserve heritage. So we need modern buildings. So this is the new nationalist agenda that we have these days. We have a very strong one-directional nationalist agenda. If you are in my direction, you are nationalist. these are all questions that are in China. So we always have that example. In China, they built a bridge in 6 weeks. By demolishing a heritage building, we are not going to become capable of building a bridge in 6 weeks or whatever it is. This is just what about bringing one topic and then connecting it with another topic and saying this is equal to. All cats have 4 legs. My dog has 4 legs, therefore my dog is a cat. That kind of logic that goes on in these days. So that is what, these are all the important questions that have come about on heritage activism. So my point of view is like this. Firstly, this whole story about who or what was involved in that building, whether there was a Dravidian politician who did something great here or not. I don't think that really is so important as to whether, or as compared to whether the building really means something to us as a city. So, is it a metropolitan identity? When people come here, if they look and they find that the building is missing, will they ask a question, what happened to this heritage structure that stood here? That I think is really the first point. Secondly, do we have an emotional connect with these structures? That becomes a second aspect that we need to answer. The other question that we have about colonial architecture. This comment comes out of sheer ignorance. The reason is the engineers who built these structures may have been British. They only gave the broad design. Most of them were not structural engineers. They had no idea how that building was going to stand, how that building would last for 250 years. They completely relied on local artisans. You start from roughly from the time that Fort St. George was constructed, 1639, 1640, to the time that the St. Andrew's Kirk was constructed. You find that they were designing buildings in a classical style, but they were depending upon local masons, local stone cutters, local pavers, local woodworkers to execute it. There is no question of bringing people from abroad to execute these things. Then when St. Andrew's Kirk was built, they had to rely on local foundation technology. The artisans taught the English contractors about well foundations. And from then on, St. Andrew's Kirk, the central station, the railway office which stands next to the central station, all these structures were ripple buildings. They were all built on well foundations, based upon the same technology that was used in St. Andrew's Kirk. So that was completely Indian. In fact, Thomas Fiat de Havilland studied what the Indian artisans did. He documented the community behavior of those people who dig wells, and then he said that this is the best way that we can have a building standing over here which will be impressive and big. So that was one. Then the other is the decorative motifs that we see in all the heritage structures, whether it is University Senate House or whether it is Chepauk Palace or Presidency College. Everything was done by Indians. If you look at the drawings made by Chisholm, Robert Fellows Chisholm, the architect who did much of the Indo-Saxonic structures, he only gave the line drawing. After that, he himself has written that decorative aspects and small design elements right across the building are best left with the Indian artisan. So the plastering technology, the chunama that was being used in these buildings is all local. Today, we don't have a single artisan who can do that kind of chunama anymore. We have lost the technology. So the question is, what are we talking about over here? We are talking about a building that was constructed by someone else's design, but executed completely by our people. Going by the same logic that we are talking about over here, every Islamic structure in this country would have to be demolished, because all the Islamic structures were design elements that were imported from outside, and then they were executed by the local craftsmen. Every church in the country will have to be demolished, and extending it a little further, every temple also will have to be demolished, because the Pallavas were Telugu speaking people. They were not Nile, they were not Tamil. So what are we talking about over here when we say that we should eliminate everything that is not local and attribute it, give it a colonial tag and say that it does not belong over here? What ultimately belongs over here? Even we don't belong over here. The language that I am speaking doesn't belong over here, it's English. So ultimately, there is no question of eliminating things one by one by one. The last point is this whole aspect about this being against progress. What kind of progress are we talking about? When we go to the United States of America, there will be one palm tree and you call it Lone Palm Avenue, and they charge $50 to go and see that palm. They know how to make money on it, and then they have reams of documentation about that palm which we will all be reading. This is progress as far as they are concerned. We have so much of our heritage over here that we feel that it is all against progress. This building has not done anything to prevent us from becoming progressive. On the other hand, I would say that many of the colonial structures have actually taught us to become progressive. Prior to the arrival of Western education, we did not believe in crossing the seas, we did not believe in scientific inquiry, we were completely ridden by caste, and we were driven by the caste system, and we had atrocious behavior towards women folk. So at least to some extent, things have been improving over a period of time. So I think we should actually be very thankful to all that has happened in the past so many years, that we've actually begun to question and we have decided that we need to improve. But now I take you very quickly through the photographs to just show you what our heritage, the battle against heritage conservation or for heritage conservation is. So just to you can just continue. So this is the building on Armenian Street. So for over, Billy starts sometime in the early 1800s. The company folded up sometime in the 1980s. So we are looking at 180 years of corporate history. And between 1920 and 1950, Billy was employing 25,000 people in the city of Madras. In a city whose population at that time was 8.5 lakhs, if 25,000 people were being employed by one company, and you multiply that by 4 to arrive at the number of people who were dependent on a penny income, 1/8 of the city was actually being employed by a penny, and most of us have, our lives have been touched by penny in one form or the other. So this structure has been now completely razed to the ground, because the owners have decided that what they want here is a multi-story structure. They have no idea how they could have encashed on a heritage building. This is the whole problem. And the government itself does not encourage owners to possess heritage buildings. So abroad, for instance, in London, if you want to become a tenant or a leaseholder of a heritage structure, you pay a premium for it. So the owner actually benefits from the fact that he is in possession of a heritage structure. And then there are concessions given for the person who is holding the lease, so that he can then spend on repairs and maintenance and things like that and keep the building going. None of that exists over here. So the only belief we have is deficit. If it is a building that is occupying 25,000 square feet, either a or a floor cut down. This is the only question we think of. And then based on that, the next question is demolish and then put up a multi-story structure. But you have strange horoscopes. This is such a beautiful building. Now look at this, an ugly concrete pillbox. This is a Second World War air raid shelter, and it has been lying abandoned by the sea at Royal for more than 50 years. When did the last war happen? After that, no action in this place, and it is a very convenient toilet because it is protected from all sides. It's also a good alcohol place in the evenings. People can go there and drink and make merry. So this is a rubbish dump. One day, 2 years ago, the Chennai Petroleum Corporation decided that it wanted to lay a pipeline, and the pipeline, this was standing right in the middle of the pipeline tube. So they brought the regulars in order to demolish the structure. So this is a concrete, it's a solid piece of concrete. You can't do anything with it. So they began wrecking it. Then somebody called me, then I called them into, then we wrote an article. Next day, for some reason, Chennai Petroleum said, no, we are not demolishing it, we put the pipeline around it. So now there is a park, and this thing is being maintained by the Chennai Petroleum Corporation. Such an ugly structure has been restored and is now being maintained. Now it's looking quite nice. Around 3 months ago when I went, it was looking quite good, but I don't know what has happened since. But it is okay. It's not as bad as what it is in this picture. This is the Madras. I don't know how many of you have been to the Falaknuma Palace in Hyderabad. The Falaknuma Palace is modeled on the Madras. This is the earlier version The front two arms coming around like this, and the back side there is a longish tape. Completely collapsed today as a structure. I think I have a photograph coming up next. This is what it is right now. And nobody knows what is to be done with the structure. The students were moved out, and thereafter they just let it go to sea. And today, this is the condition. It is not restorable under any circumstance. It's not worth restoring also. Having brought it to this extent of doing, it is best that it is emptied and then something else comes up in its place. This is Bentley's building that I spoke to you about. And when the heritage activists made a lot of protest, the NCR government in a concession said the new building will look exactly like the old building. This is what we got. And it's either our eyesight or the architect's eyesight, whichever one is at fault. But this is the, ironically, this is the structure that came up in its place. Spencer's, of course, you all know. Spencer's taught real estate people a very important lesson that you can set fire to heritage buildings, and thereafter, you may do whatever you want. After this, you had Spencer, then you had Moore Market, then you had Gandhi Illam, which used to be the lodge in government estate. You had the Madras GPO. You had the Khadi building, which is Anjuman-e-Islam building on Mount Road. You have, I think there are around 8 or 9 heritage, the Chepauk Palace. So there are 8 or 9 heritage buildings in the city that have mysteriously caught fire in the night. And next day in the morning, by the time the fire tender comes and all that, the building cannot be restored. When Spencer's caught fire, the woodwork burned, but the masonry was not affected in any way. But Spencer as a company needed money, and so they decided that it was best that they converted it and they made it into this mall. Today, it is nearly empty because of structures like Phoenix Mall and all that have come up, which are far more exciting. Nobody wants this. But imagine if the old Spencer had been kept. I can bet that even today people will be going there. Look at the crowd that goes to a restaurant like Amethyst, which is in the open air, expensive. You can't get a table at any time of the day or the evening because it's full of people. Spencer's could have easily fulfilled something like that. But this is what lack of vision brings about when this was considered to be the only option, and today it is not needed by anybody. This is the Moore Market. So the railway suburban service wanted the Moore Market area because they wanted to put up their suburban railway block over here. The shopkeepers in Moore Market were not willing to shift, and then one night Moore Market caught fire, and after that the entire block was handed over to the suburban railway, and they put up this building. In front of this building, they built a small scaled down model of a Moore Market, just so that they can laugh at all the heritage activists, so that you wanted a monument, we've given it to you, so here it is. So there's one, this roughly this size. In that, people go and shit and urinate and all that. They jump on into the monument and they conduct their business and they come out. So that is how that is the end of Moore Market. But in the midst of all this, we have had some very good stories of renovation. So this structure over here is the Masonic Lodge that became the Director General of Police's office in the 1850s. The structure itself dates to the 1830s, and if you go inside, even now you find a lot of Masonic symbols in the walls and on the roof and all that. The police have been in occupation since the 1850s. In the 1990s, it was decided by the then Chief Minister that the structure should be demolished and a 10-story police office should come up over here. And once again, this has been the only success in as far as heritage activism in the city is concerned. When people got together, signature campaigns were launched. Finally, but what was very important, and this was a lesson that we as heritage activists did not learn at that time, you needed to get the stakeholder involved in the process of restoration. The police was not interested in demolishing the building. For them, it was chief office. Chief office is where the Director General of Police of Tamil Nadu sits. Every IPS officer eventually wants to come and sit here as the Director General of Police. For them, it's a symbol. And when the Chief Minister said that it had to be demolished, the police was not happy about it. So there was a lot of support finally, when the matter went to the court, the PWD was asked to form a committee to inspect the building. They came back and said that the structure is completely sound and it can carry on for any number of years. The police gave a commitment that every new wing that they build will be identical to the old wings, and they have kept that commitment going till date. It remains one of the most beautiful structures that we have on the Darina. We have Vivekananda Rhythm, which had its own ding-dong battle between government and the Ramakrishna Math. Initially, they were wanting to give it for a lease of 1 year, then 2 years, then they said 9 years. Finally, it was given for 99 years. So today, it is beautifully preserved by the Ramakrishna Math. They have even exposed the old roofing inside. They take you around, they show you every aspect of the building. It's really now taken care of very, very well. University Senate House is a sad story by itself because it depended upon who was the Vice Chancellor. So when in 2007, when the 150th year of Madras University was coming up, we had Dr. S.P. Tyagarajan, who was the Vice Chancellor of Madras University. He was very keen that the Senate House should be restored. It was really being used for storing university answer sheets. So this was the purpose for which the Senate House was being used, and full of bird shit, and it has been opened in years. And finally, a committee was formed. The governor of Tamil Nadu, P.S. Ramamohan Rao, got very involved in the restoration. Mr. Muttaya, the Chennai Wellington Corporate Foundation, they all got involved. The old students of Madras University were named. 11 crores was collected. And the Vice Chancellor gave a commitment that once the restoration of the University Senate House is done, the building will be handed over to a committee which will lease the building for programs, make money on it, and that money will be used for the maintenance of the structure. So Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam came, the restoration was complete, he dedicated it to the country. Then next day the Vice Chancellor retired. When he left, one man threw a slipper at him. That was the farewell that they gave. The new Vice Chancellor locked up the Senate House once again. And today it is once again being used for storing answer sheets. After 11 crores was spent on the restoration. The photo biennale happens, the building is opened, people are able to go and see. Again, it remains closed after that. So this is how University Senate House is now functioning. It's a grand building. When you go inside, you just don't feel like coming away from it. It is so beautiful. But they don't have the vision to keep it going as a functioning structure. Temples, you would think, have fared very well. But actually speaking, temples don't fare very well. The reason is, till 1990, nobody had any money in India for maintaining anything. So all the Chola inscriptions were there. The woodwork was rotting, but it was there. Everything was there as it was. From 1990, suddenly we become a rich nation. We have all these NRIs. So they are full of guilt, that they have left India and gone away. And then they get all these messages. If on this nakshatram you do this, you will be, who is happy in this world to tell me? But if you get this message saying, if on Kartikeya nakshatram you perform archana in this particular temple by sending, that is the important thing, by sending 5,000 rupees, then all happiness will be yours. So everybody pours money into temples. And there is no taste. There is no aesthetic involved in restoration. So first thing, red granite on the floor. No idea about whether you can walk on red granite. The first thing you do, if you enter a temple with red granite, you cross back because you are so slippery. You are on all fours. Then the next thing is oil paint covering all the inscriptions. And then Kavacham Putano, Kanga Kavacham Putano. Every god looks like Neil Armstrong with a helmet and one full body armor. Even the bronzes have now been completely covered, all ridiculous, the kind of things that they end up doing. And then as Mr. Seshasari used to say, every tube light holder will say, Mayamad Dharmam, some possibility, so and so, Chakravarti Ayega, Mudaliya, something, Amanga Dharmam. That holder will be facing the God, because God has to see every day, in Dhamaka Putta. HCL spent, I think, 10 crores or something on the restoration, and they made it a mandatory condition that the temple had to be restored to what a temple was like. So no red granite, only unpolished granite in various places, opening up all the corridors of the temple that had been closed for years on end. And you actually had to go around the temple in the anti-clockwise direction because of the queue complex that had come up. Now all that was removed, and they discovered two shrines that nobody knew existed. The two shrines had been covered by monks for more than 100 years, and people had even forgotten that they were there. These two shrines were then opened up. Same in Sriram, Swami temple. 100-pillared hall was discovered. It was under sand and rubbish for years, and people had even forgotten the existence of the hall. When we were children, we would be taken to that hall, and the height of the hall was only 3 feet. Nobody knew that they were around 15 feet below, which was covered by sand. We used to wonder why it got a height of only 3 feet. Slowly that vanished because even that 3 feet got accumulated mud on top of it, and slowly it went away. Then it had to be exposed completely. Fort St. George is another disastrous story because dealing with one government department is bad enough. Here there are 5 owners of Fort St. George. The army is the owner, the navy is the owner, the government of Tamil Nadu is the owner, the speaker of the legislative assembly is the part owner, and the army of the survey of India is the owner. So imagine getting 5 owners to agree on any restoration activity. But when it comes to demolition, they will all be in agreement. Fantastic. No problem. So some of the buildings inside the Wellesley's house, brought down in a thunderstorm 25 years ago, still like this. And this side, people are still working inside that building. And they have files, you will find lights working. They don't bother about the fact that next to them there is this building like this. Much of the fort comes to urinate at this point. So it's one of the biggest urinals, open air bedrooms possible. But as far as the number doesn't work everywhere. So it's like this one. This is Gandhi Hill, which used to be government estate, which caught fire and has now gone away completely. Rajaji Hall is the only survivor of what used to be government estate. The governor's bungalow, which I think is the next slide, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, this used to be the governors of Madras city residence in Mount Road, government estate. Guindy was only the weekend house. So between 1800 and 1947, all governors of Madras occupied the structure during the weekdays. They went to Guindy only for the weekend when they were not in summer holiday routine. So these were the 3 large governors that they had. Post-independence, this became the police headquarters and the police department, and the governors shifted to Guindy. Finally, when the new assembly secretariat had to be built, this building, it was declared, had to be brought down. So we appealed and we said that there is so much of area in government estate that we don't need to demolish this building, it's only occupying one corner. But they said no, and demolition was very difficult. We finally had to be imploded with dynamite in order to get it to collapse. And that is Tata said, oh, yeah, I'm going to put that kind of give him something that will make him go. So the building was finally imploded. Check last few slides. Chekhov Palace, which is, this is old Chekhov Palace, still 1900, 1905. Then you had, this is Chekhov Palace today. It is behind it, the palace is still there. But all around it you have modern government departments that have come up. This building, when it reached the 2nd floor, there was a protest that they had no business building this structure. Even while the protests were going on, they built 2 more floors. And so the 4th now, the palace, you can only now enter through the back side. You can't enter through the front at all. There is no access to it. Part of the palace collapsed and there was a crater in the 1st floor through which you could see the ground floor. People, Babus used to be working all around it with cupboards and everything, and they would go carefully around the thing on the pile of this, etc. This one crater of almost 20 feet in the middle. They never bothered about it. Such indifference you cannot see. And nobody bothered about Chekhov Palace. You could go there any time of the day or night. You could find the doors open. You could wander inside. And there would be a family squatting in the portico. They were sometimes if you go, that old man used to say, "Man, the building era side but so is that." Inna paakringa, daily vandrukkinga, bathroom poringa, summa photo edukringa, ella paata sollu sir. He was an illegal squatter inside. And then the building caught fire. One night it caught fire. And next morning, even before the fire tenders had, brought the fire down, the minister had announced that the building will be demolished and a Kalyana Mandapam will come up in its place. அவங்களுக்கு தெரிஞ்சது அதுதான் கல்யாண மண்டபம். ஸோ இடிக்கிறது, புது பில்டிங் கட்டுறது, கல்யாணம். But by that time, heritage activism had reached a certain volume. So next day the statement was retracted and it was announced that Chepauk Palace will be restored. It is still being restored, not because of lack of funds or anything, but because restoration is a bloody difficult business. You don't get carpenters who can do it, you don't get masons who can do it, you don't get the material to do it. Now people realize how difficult it is to do heritage conservation. It's been going on for 10 years and it is still not complete because it is that tough an activity. It is far easier to demolish. So I'm giving the wrong message, but this is what it is. I think we can stop with this because after this we have Buckingham Canal and all that. But I wanted to just tell you the biggest mistakes that the heritage side did. I have been criticizing the government so far. Some of the most stupid mistakes that we as heritage activists did, which is what brought heritage activism and conservation to such a tragic situation in Tamil Nadu today. Firstly, we were always confrontational with the government. We never believed in taking the government in hand, trying to explain to them that there are other ways of doing it. So it was always statements in the press, going to court, and sometimes we won, sometimes we lost, but I think that gave us a slightly, we thought that we were a little cocky. We thought that we could win every battle by taking it to court. We didn't realize how powerful the government can be. So when PR and Sons, the rear wing of PR and Sons was going to be demolished. Prior to that, what happened was Bharat Insurance Building and Gokhale Hall were both going to be demolished. Bharat Insurance Building by Life Insurance Corporation, Gokhale Hall by the Young Men's Indian Association. The youngest member of the Young Men's Indian Association was 90 years old at that time. But they wanted to build a building with car parking in the basement for 15 cars. I said the building has got capacity to seat 1,500 people. What difference does it make whether you've got car parking for 15 cars or no cars? And Armenian Street, where people are going to drive in car and come, they will park somewhere and walk down. No, so they demolished the roof and it went to court. At that time, there was another committee that was also working on the instructions of the High Court. Everywhere you found these outdoor hoardings, big hoardings. So you come up Gemini flyover, suddenly you will find Rajnikant smiling at you. And then during storms, what will happen is the hoarding will fall on motorists and kill 2 or 3 people. So there was a petition against outdoor hoardings that was pending. So the High Court had formed a committee to identify locations where hoardings cannot be put up. And they identified 468 heritage buildings in front of which hoardings cannot be put up. That committee found that and submitted it to the court. When the demolition of Bharat Insurance and Gokhale Hall came to court, the court produced that report. The judge took that report and said, all these buildings cannot be demolished, including Bharat Insurance and Gokhale Hall. And they passed the order. We thought that it was a great victory for us, but we didn't know about the ways how cleverly you can interpret these judgments, right? So then what happened was PR and Sons came to be demolished for metro rail. On this basis, we took that to court, saying that it is a heritage structure, it is part of this report, etc., etc. The opponent argued that this committee report is only meant for holdings, point number 1. It therefore is only talking about the frontage of buildings. It is not talking about the backside of heritage structures, they can all be demolished. The judge bought that idea. This is the second thing. Thirdly, what we realized was neither the tenant of PR and Sons nor the owner of PR and Sons was interested in preserving the building. So the court asked, who are you guys? Where have you come into this picture? You are nothing. You are neither the owner nor are you the tenant. You are some middleman who has arrived here to create some nuisance against public progressive project like Metro Rail. therefore you, Indian National Trust, will no longer be a part of any heritage preservation project in Tamil Nadu. This also was included in the judgment, and we became, that's it, we were persona non grata after that, and we have never come back. So this was the biggest mistake that we, when Sriram Panchu saw the arguments, the first thing he told us was, he said, it will be thrown out of court in 2 minutes. It is too late, you have done a very big mistake. Neither the owner nor the tenant is interested in protecting the building. Court will ask who you are. And exactly what happened. In 2.5 minutes, went on appeal to the Supreme Court, again thrown out in 2.5 minutes. After that, nothing. No heritage activism in the city. Everything is on paintings, giving lectures, all that. No actual preservation of the ground. Then the last bit, before I let you all go back to your ruminations on heritage activism, the government then had to form a heritage conservation committee because of that judgment. See, the old judgment said buildings cannot be demolished, you have to form a heritage conservation committee. So they formed heritage conservation committees where everybody was from Archaeological Survey, Department of Culture, Department of Tourism, Presidency College, Madras University, one member from INTAC. So every proposal for a building demolition, member from INTAC will protest all the others and say, fast, my boys, demolish, demolish. When this judgment came, they threw the INTAC member out. You don't need you anymore, court has said that you cannot be here. So it became one jolly club where they would meet up for coffee or building, demolish, demolish. So it went on like this. Now this was the CMDA's Heritage Conservation Committee. Then the Archaeological Department, Government of Tamil Nadu, was suddenly mandated by the government to form another Heritage Conservation Committee. That move was legislated by the government. It was notified 15 years ago. Till date, no Heritage Conservation Committee has been formed to protect heritage buildings. The old CMDA Heritage Conservation Committee is still functioning, but the Government Archaeological Survey Department says they have no right to function because the new department committee has to be formed. When will this committee be formed? That we will see, we will do sometime. So this is where we are at this point of time. Today, if a heritage structure survives, it is because of its own luck. There is nothing else. Some government person takes a liking or a soft corner to it, the photo, the building survives. They say it is there, it will be demolished. This is where we are as far as heritage is concerned. Thank you very much.